Commander key.
In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create these two monster truck tires. And if you pay attention, there is a right side version and a left side version. Because this one right here would go on the right side of the truck, and this would go on the left side of the truck, because the tread direction would matter. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we need to do is create a new startup file, or open a new startup file. First thing we need to do is add a cylinder. Add mesh and then cylinder. We need to set the vertices to 48. 48, enter. And if you don't see the side panel, press T on the keyboard to toggle out that side panel. Alright. Now we need to scale that cylinder by 3. Press S for scale and then 3 on the number pad and press enter. Now we need to scale on the Z axis. Press S for scale, Z for the Z axis, and then 0.75. Enter. Now we need to rotate it on the X axis by 90 degrees. Press R for rotate, X for the X axis, and then 90, and then enter. Now press the control button. While holding the control button down, press A on the keyboard and then choose scale. And it's important that we do that because later on when we're adding bevels to the edges, it will not scale right unless we actually apply the scale. Now press tab on the keyboard to go into edit mode. And then down here, click on the vertice select icon. Press A on the keyboard once or twice until nothing is selected. And then press the Alt key, ALT key, and then right click while holding the Alt key down, right click on the edge, and then Shift Alt right click on this edge. Now press Control V 0.75, and then with the scroll wheel down on the bottom, down here, you see segments. Change that to 2 by turning the scroll wheel. And then press enter. Now press A once or twice until nothing is selected. Now we want to add a loop cut around the center of the wheel. So go over here, click on loop cut, move your mouse over till you see the purple loop cut around the center of the wheel, left click, and then press enter. With the loop cut still selected, press R to rotate, press Y because we want to rotate on the Y axis, and then 15 on the keypad, on the number pad, because we want to rotate it by 15 degrees, and then press enter. Once again, press A once or twice until nothing is selected. Now, click the face select icon, and you may need to zoom in a little bit so you get a better view. Now we need to select the faces for the treads. And we need to select every third row. So it's going to be like this. Right click, shift right click, shift right click, shift right click. Skip to, shift right click, shift right click, shift right click, shift right click. Shift right click, shift right click, shift right click, shift right click. And then just continue that all the way around the tire. With every third row selected, you need to come over here to the side panel and then click on this top one, choose the drop down menu, and then choose Extrude Region Vertex Normals. And then press point 2 on the keyboard and press enter. Now go down here to the vertices select icon and click it. Now press Ctrl B point 1, 2, 5 to add a bevel and press enter. Alright, now would be a good time to go ahead and save your project. File, save, and I'm just going to name this Truck Tire. Enter. Press A once or twice until everything is selected. Once everything is selected, press Shift D and then X because we want to move it on the X axis, and then 8 because we want to move it 8 Blender units. And then press enter. Now press R for rotate, Z for the Z axis, and then 180 on the keypad, and then press enter. Now press A once or twice until nothing is selected. Now we need to hold down the Shift key and the Alt key, the alternate key, and then right click on the edge of this face, and then rotate around to the back side. Hold down the Shift key and the Alt key, right click to select that edge and to select this edge. Now this is important, make sure you have all 4 faces selected. Now press I to inset the faces, the letter I, and then 0.75 on the keypad or number pad, and then press enter. Now we need to extrude these faces individually, but we can do them all at the same time, but we need to use the individual function. So we need to come over here, click on extrude on the drop down menu and choose individual faces, and then press 0.1 on the keypad. Now we need to inset the faces again, so press I on the keypad and then 0.25 on the number pad and press enter. Now we need to extrude the individual faces again. So come over here to the extrude drop down menu, choose individual faces, and choose -1, enter. Now we need to inset them once again. Let me rotate it so you get a better view of what we're actually doing inside. So let's go ahead and inset this again by pressing I on the keyboard and then press 0.25, enter. Now we need to extrude these faces once again. So go over here to the extrude drop down menu, choose individual faces, and then on the number pad -1, and then enter. Now we need to press A once or twice until nothing is selected. Now we need to model the front and back of the wheels differently because the front has the hub and the rear doesn't. So what we need to do is go to the face select icon down here, right click to select this face, and then shift right click to select this face. Alright. Now we need to inset these faces. So press I on the keyboard to inset, and then press 0.5 enter. Now we need to extrude those faces. So go over here to extrude individual faces, and then 0.75 on the keypad or number pad. Now press I on the keyboard and choose 0.125, enter, and then we need to extrude it one more time. Go over here to extrude individual faces, 0.1 on the number pad, and press enter. Now would be a good time to save your progress. File, save, and then we're good to go. Now we need to press A once or twice until nothing is selected. Press 1 on the number pad to go into front side view, and then press 5 on the number pad to go into orthographic view or two-dimensional view. Now I'm just zooming in so we get a better look at it. Now we need to set up some materials before we go any further, otherwise it will be a headache later. So now we need to go over here to the properties panel, and then click on the materials icon, and then click the plus button, and then new, and let's name this material rubber, or let's go ahead and name it tire, and then press enter. Alright, now let's go ahead and change this from diffuse to principled. Make this, a solid black, and then change the roughness to 0.75, and then press enter. Now let's go ahead and add another material, and then click new, and we will name this material wheel. W-H-E-E-L. Enter. Change it from diffuse to principled, and then we'll make this a light gray color, and then change the metallic to 1 and the roughness to 0.25. Enter. Alright, now what we need to do, we need to select only the wheel portion of these tires, and then assign that the wheel material. So the best way to do that is zoom in just a little bit so that we can still see both wheels. Now change this to wireframe, because we want to be able to select faces through the mesh. Now press C, the letter C on the keyboard, and then move your mouse to the center of this wheel, and then using the scroll wheel, adjust the size of that select so that it's this size, so that it's selecting the center part but not going so far that it's selecting these faces. So it's just selecting the center portion, and then left click to select, and then do the same on this side. Left click to select, and then if we press enter on the keyboard, it turns off that circle select. Now if we rotate, we can see that the entire center portion, front and back, is selected. Now make sure we have the wheel material selected, and then press assign. Now press A once or twice until nothing is selected. Now it's important that we do this part just in case we accidentally moved our 3D cursor. So we need to recenter our 3D cursor. So press Shift and then the letter S and then choose Cursor to Center. Now click down here on Add and then Cylinder. Change the vertices to 6. Now we need to move this cylinder to a location that we can work on it because it's literally inside the wheel. So what we need to do is press R on the keyboard and then X to rotate it on the X axis and then 90 on the keypad, number pad, and then enter. Now we need to move it on the Y axis, so we press G and then the letter Y and then -3 on the number pad and press enter. Now press S to scale and then 0.15 and then enter. Now over here on in the properties panel, make sure you're on the materials tab. We need to add another material. Press the plus button, click new, and rename this lug nut. And then enter. Now we'll give this a principled shader, make it a dark gray, and then make it completely metallic and set the roughness to 0.25. Enter. Now with the lug nut material selected, make sure you still have the lug nut selected. Press assign. Now press 1 on the keypad to go on the front side view. And we can zoom in if we want so we can better see what's going on. Alright. Now we want to position the lug nuts and duplicate them as needed. So what we need to do is press G on the keyboard to grab, and then X for the X axis and 0.75 on the number pad and press enter. Now press Shift D to duplicate and then X so we can move it on the X axis and then -1.5. Enter. Now press 7 to go on the top side view. Press B for box select and then left click to drag to select both lug nuts. Now go back into front side view by pressing 1 on the keypad and then press Shift D and then R for rotate and then 45 on the keypad on the number pad and press enter. Now press Shift R and then we're finished with those lug nuts essentially. Now would probably be a good time to go ahead and save our project. So go over to File, Save, and then we're good to go. Now we need to press 7 on the key on the number pad to go on the top side view and then reposition so that both of the tires are in the viewport. Now press B for box select and then select all of the lug nuts. Now press Shift D and then X and then 8 on the number pad and press enter. Now press B for box select and then select all of the lug nuts. And then what we need to do, we need to zoom in. We can just zoom in on one wheel because it's going to be the same on the other side. Now press G for grab and then Y because we want to move it on the Y axis, and then just move them in until they are just barely up against the surface of the wheel, and then press enter. Now press tab to exit edit mode. Click on the world icon. Now, your default project more likely will not already have this there. Mine does because that's just how I have my startup project set. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Yours will probably look like this. So go ahead and change this to all white. Now with the mouse over the viewport window, press 0 on the key on the number pad to go into camera view. And then come over here to on this side panel. If this side panel is not shown, you can press N on your keyboard to toggle it in and out. And then check lock camera to view. And now you can scroll in. You can basically navigate through the camera if that makes any sense. Now press home on your keyboard. It's the actual home key. It should be around the delete key. And it will maximize the view of the camera. And then just reposition the camera so that you get a pretty good view of the wheels. And before we go ahead and go into render view, let's go ahead and click File and Save. And then change this from wireframe to rendered. And there we go. We have two wheels, a right side and a left side, ready to be rigged onto a monster truck or a monster BMW like I did in one of my renders. Now, if we want to make this a little bit smoother, we can do that. See, because we got kind of some sharp edges right there. So all we have to do is just right click on that one, click smooth. Well, I actually clicked on both of them because they're same object essentially. And then, but see, it doesn't look quite right. It looks like it's missing a little bit of, some of it just doesn't look right. So what we need to do after we click smooth is go over here to the modifiers tab icon, add modifier, and choose edge split. Now it looks a lot better. It's gotten rid of the sharp edges on the side, but still have good sharp edges on the tread. Alright, now go into solid view. Press 1 on the keyboard, and then go into edit mode by pressing tab. Press A once or twice until nothing is selected. Now we need to turn this from one entire mesh, one object that's two wheels, into two separate wheels. Now what we want to do, want to go into wireframe, and then press B for box select, and then select one of the wheels, and press the letter P on the keyboard, and then choose selection. Now press tab on the keyboard to exit edit mode, and now we can go back into solid view or even rendered, and now we have two separate wheels, a right side and a left side. If you have any questions, let me know. Later, people.